Be hiking in Montana with a few friends. Rode our dirt bikes out to the middle of nowhere to find some good hunting area. Have FNP 45 with 15 rounds of Godly Fury and 2 backup magazines. And also have a Ithaca Model 37, 5-shot with the 18-inch rifled barrel on my back. Friends both have ARs and 44 mag revolvers. Be about 15 meters apart, walking in a single file line. Take lead. Find a good spot to have some lunch. Be eating a power bar and some Kex Mix. Fuck, I have to piss. Burb guys. Wander into the woods 20m. Find a good tree to mark my territory. Almost done pissin'. I loft the work. Big doe runs right past me. It's alone. Here's something else coming. Probably a wolf. We were in pretty dense wood, so it's not uncommon for wolves to hunt alone and lead a deer to its pack. Look around, pissin' tree. Drop a load in my pants as I see a mammoth grizzly sniffing not 5 meters from my pissin' tree. I throw a rock off in the opposite direction. Pooh looks and wanders a few feet that way. Pull my cock back in my pants and unholster my FNP. Back away from grizzly with my gun trained on him. Step on branch. Fuck my life. JPG. Grizzly stares me down. He takes a couple steps, stands on hind legs, and lets out his war cry. Pull my fucking trigger so fast, it felt like there weren't enough bullets. Work da mag release. Change. Empty another. Grizzly is down on 4 now, stumbling towards me. 1 more mag. Unload the last 15. Grizzly lays down and dies. Friends come running with their R15s. We roll pull over. His whole chest is a torn, mangled mess. Well, fuck, I get a new rug. Take to game wardens and measures 9 foot tall, 1,117 pounds. He asks who is the he-man that shot Pooh 45 times. Lol me. Great day.
Alright, be me, B14, camping with some other people from a church group. About 8 people in total, me and my brother included. Gonna go explore some cave. Cave of the Bells, I think. Get there a little late, no time to do anything else except set up camp and eat. Clearing with a fire pit in the middle. Everyone sets up around this, except for Bob. He sets his tent up way out in the trees. Bob is one of those quiet types, but he's a pretty cool guy out of us kids. He's 17 and the oldest out of us. The tallest too, even out of the adults. He's fucking huge. Set up mine and my brother's tent. Hey Anon, Jake and Andrew forgot their tent. Can they stay with us? The tent is small, only built for 2 people, but you can probably fit a third in there somewhere. Someone needs to find another place to sleep. Volunteer myself so my brother can hang out with his friends. Don't want to sleep under the stars cause I'm a pussy. Hey, Anon, Bob is out there all alone. Why don't you stay with him? Get to Bob's spot. He's still setting up his tent. Thing was built for like 12 people, holy shit. Offer to help and ask if I can stay with him. Sure, Anon, sure. Fucking thing took forever to set up. It's dark, and dinner is ready. Hobo dinners, fuck yeah. Bedtime. Me and Bob set ourselves up in the middle of the tent. Back to back almost. I always have trouble sleeping on campouts. Surprisingly, I fall asleep in a decent time, dreaming about 14-year-old stuff. Suddenly I awaken. You know when you're sleeping, and the power goes off or something, and that sudden loss of ambient house noises wake you up. It was exactly like that. Quiet, so quiet the only sound I hear is my ears ringing. Tinnitus or something. The absence of sound is freaking me out. Reposition myself so I'm right up against Bob. Bump into him. Bump into Anon. The quiet had woke Bob up too. It's really quiet out. Yeah, no shit. Suddenly the sound of someone brushing up against our tent. Oh fuck, oh fuck, oh fuck. We didn't even hear anyone approach the tent. Me and Bob huddled closer. No homo. Whatever it was, it circled the tent about 3 times, brushing up against the tent the entire time. Trying to figure out what it was. Couldn't be any of the people who were brought up. None of them would fuck around like this. Plus, it was pretty fucking late at night when this occurred. It stopped. We're petrified, keeping as quiet as possible. Here's something leaving in the direction of a nearby hill. Several very long minutes later, it starts to howl. Didn't sound like any animal I've ever heard. It was more human-like. Fucker did this for what felt like forever. When he finally stops, the sun is already coming up. Hear the sound of zippers and people quietly talking. If it's safe for them to get out, then it's probably safe for us. Join everyone for breakfast. Ask if anyone else heard the howling. No, Anon, we didn't hear anything. Pick related it's the entrance to the cave. After breakfast, we broke into two groups and the first one went into the cave. Me and my brother were in the first group. The cave was pretty neat, almost got stuck in a small hole that lead into a really neat pond. And that was it. Emmy and Bob still joke about it sometimes. He thinks it was some weird shared hallucination or something. I'm not so sure myself. Pretty sure that sacred him from ever camping again cause he never went out with us after that.
I have only shared this one with a few people. And still when I think about it, it freaks me the fuck out. I was 16 or so. And growing up in a small town exploring out in the hills was the thing to do. This incident took place at the north end of Ruby Valley in Elko County, Nevada. Someday I will play around on Google Earth to try to find this place. But it is slightly north of the road off of Highway 93 that goes into Ruby Valley. I always like checking out old mine shafts and ghost towns. That shit really intrigues me. At the Burger Bar in Wells, Nevada, where I am from and grew up, they had these old turn-of-the-century maps under glass on the tables. On one of them it showed several ghost towns just north of Ruby Valley. So I figured I would go check them out, as I had not been in the area very often. I gassed up my 70 to Dodge W100 pickup, and being a redneck and before for Chen even I grabbed my K91 and set out. I had found some old foundations in the lower country, and started heading into the mountains themselves and started finding abandoned mine shafts. Shit was pretty cool, so I kept going up. I took this ancient row that was no more than an overgrown cattle path by this point in history, and came upon a tree blocking the road. It was an old pinyon pine about 2 feet in diameter that blocked the road. After the tree, the road continued straight for about 100 yards, then hooked right before coming back 180 degrees, continuing. Gonna sketch up some key locations for next post. I parked my truck in front of the tree and set out on foot. I grabbed my HK91 with 120 round magazine in the rifle and put 120 round mag in my back left pocket. I always had a rifle with me as I have encountered mountain lions in mine shafts before, and just generally I like to shoot shit. Get up on ridge lines and shoot boulders from a couple 100 yards away. Anyways, as soon as I climbed over the fallen tree, I had a fucking creepy feeling as if I was being watched. I continued on for about 100 yards to the point where the road started curving right and gaining elevation, going towards the cabin. At this point, I had the realization that not only did I feel like I was being watched, it was also dead fucking quiet out. This was in June or so. As school had just got out, everywhere you went you could hear those fucking cicadas. But not here. It seemed as soon as I crossed the fallen tree, the mountains were silent. No bugs, no birds, nothing. Deafening silence. As I came up to the turn, there was this big fucking rock. The thing had to be about 15 feet in diameter. You could tell that it used to be on the road, but due to years of erosion, snow and all that shit, it had slid down just slightly off the road. It seemed to be red limestone, or something like that. It stood out since they are not that common in this area. I looked at the rock and you could tell that there were carvings in it at some point in time. Due to weathering, though, whatever was carved on it had been worn off. I kept walking up the road, being creeped out like fuck, but I really wanted to check out the old cabin, as it was pretty obvious no one had been here in quite a while. At this point I was probably 3 hours off-road to get to this point. You are going to be going through Wells, which is closer to where this happened, probably about 30-ish miles south as the crow flies from there. After I post everything, I will look on Google Maps and see if I can find this cabin on there. I got up to the cabin, and as far as abandoned houses and cabins in Nevada go, this one was in pretty good shape. All of the glass on the windows was still intact, and there were remnants of curtains behind the windows. By this point, there was something in the back of my mind telling me that I should be going. I went in the cabin, and that is where I started to get the feeling that something was off. Most cabins you find out in the middle of nowhere in Nevada are barren. There were plates and other cookware throughout the house, along with tattered clothing and personal effects, such as a chest. Faded picture, nothing really left, maybe a bit of broken furniture. This one was completely furnished. Time had taken its toll, but everything was still there. What was left of an old mattress and bedding was still there. And the like. What really creeped me the fuck out was the dinner table. It was set for 4 people. Dinner plate, glasses, and silverware. This was the first cabin I had ever found that was in this condition. It was as if whoever resided here had just up and left everything behind. I felt like I should not be in the cabin, and went outside to see if I could find the mineshaft or anything else. Once I was at the door, I decided to chamber around on my HK91. The sound of me racking around and echoed through the canyon and broke the silence. As little of a thing as it was, this calmed my nerves very slightly. Directly behind the cabin was a well. It was still intact, and as I got closer, it sounded like there was noise coming from it, like a slight breeze rustling through it. When I got within about 30 feet of it, I started to smell something. It smelled absolutely fucking putrid. Definitely something had died in the well. The smell of decay was heavy in the air, with an acrid copper scent that tore at my nostrils. I did not want to get any closer to the well, and started walking towards the left, where I could see the opening to a mine shaft up on the hill. The closer I got to it, I could start feeling a breeze coming out of it. This is not really uncommon if you have explored mine shafts before, as the breeze could be coming in from another opening for the mine. But the thing was perfectly calm, as far as I could see. There were no trees moving or any signs of wind. As I got closer, another thing that struck me as odd was the breeze coming out of the shaft was hot. Most of the time it is cool, as most mine shafts maintain a constant temperature. The closer I got to the shaft, the slower I moved towards it. Nothing since I crossed the fallen tree seemed right. The closer I got to the opening of the mine shaft, the more of a feeling of dread and being watched I got within about 15 feet of the shaft, when the fucking smell hit me. It was the smell of decay and copper, but much stronger than the well. Right then, all of my spidey senses started going off. One had to get out of there. I started turning left to book it out of there, when I saw a dark shadow moving in the opening of the mine shaft. Whatever it was, it appeared to be crouched down to fit in the mine shaft. Most mine shafts I have been in have 8 to 10 feet ceilings. At first I thought it was mountain lion. Then I remembered how big the fucking shafts were. My mind raced, trying to think WTF it was. It was too big to be a black bear, which are rare in Nevada. I nearly froze with panic, and it slowly kept coming towards the opening of the mine shaft. It was probably within 10 feet of the opening, and the light was starting to show. Whatever the fuck it was covered from head to toe in grayish brown fur. Then it fucking screamed. It was unlike anything I have ever heard in my fucking life. My ears were ringing from it. I flipped into panic mode and did what any good redneck would do. I fucking shot it. I pulled up my HK91, placed the front blade on what appeared to be its center mass, and ripped off 5 rounds as fast as I could accurately shoot. If you have ever shot big game with a large caliber rifle, you know the sound when you connect with something. I had 4 solid thwunks, and 1 round that went high. This made it scream even louder than it had, in pain. At this time I started hearing more, and separate screams coming from over in the well, and in the hills above the mine shaft. I started running down the hill as fast as I fucking could. In the tree line above the road, approximately 75 to 125 yards, I could see fast movement. Rocks were tumbling down the hill, and there were several other screams. From the mine shaft, I could hear the wailing of whatever the fuck I had shot. Whatever it was, I had definitely connected, and it was hurting. Whatever it was up in the tree line, they were running from tree to tree on all 4s, getting closer to me. As I ran towards the rock, I was shooting in the general vicinity of the movement on the top of the hill. By the time I got to the limestone rock, I had expended the 20-round mag in the rifle. I ripped it out and put in my spare magazine, chambered around, and started sprinting towards the fallen tree. approximately 100 yards away by now. I kept glancing back and whatever they were staying in the trees. I could make out their masses and fur, but they would not stay in the open. I got back to the fallen tree and ate shit trying to jump over it. I got up off my ass, fired between 12 to 15 rounds at the closest movement, which was approximately 50 yards away from now. I heard a few rounds connect and it started screaming louder. Between the screaming and gunshots, my ears were damned near dear. I opened the door of my truck and got the fuck in, and started it up as fast as I could. Backing up to turn around, I damned near put my truck down in the canyon. As I started going forward to leave on the road I came in on was when I finally got a look at one of them. It was crouched over with its front feet on the tree. It was covered from head to toe in grayish-brown fur, with long slender fingers with claws tipping off the fingers. The back of it was hunched, and the face was slender, most closely resembling that of a badger, but with sunken eyes. It was shaking its head back and forth, and it sounded like it was attempting to speak, but it was so garbled. And with the noise of my truck I could not make out WTF it was. I averaged 50 to 60 miles per hour on a shitty dirt road that I had done 15 on the way in. I did not slow down or stop until I got back to pavement. By now I was so shaken I had to stop and collect myself. I got back to town and was in a bit of shock. My dad had been a guide in the Ruby Mountains for about 20 years. He asked me how my trip went, and where I went. He could tell that I was startled, and asked where I had been. I told him that I had been north of Ruby Valley. He got quiet and asked if I had seen a cabin with a tree fallen over the road. I told him yes. He looked me in the eyes and told me that is somewhere I should never go again, especially alone. We never spoke about it again after that. I have never been back there. Part of the reason is I live in western Nevada now. But in the back of my mind, there is something that is telling me I should go back, and one day I do want to go back. This was back in 2001, before camera phones, and I was too broke to afford a digital camera. I want to go back with a camera, preferably a GoPro on my helmet, and with several friends that are armed. Just something about there, even with the shit I experienced, is drawing me back. One day, I will go back. I guess I need closure on what happened that day. I will probably be on for another 30 minutes or so if anyone has any questions. After that, I can be reached by email. Stand by. I will sketch it up. My drawing skills are shit, so it will be rough. Definitely want to make it back out there, with at least 4 to 5 people well fucking armed, that is for damn sure. Still to this date gives me goosebumps thinking about this shit. I tried researching it a bit a few years past, asking some old timers, and one of them told me a story about the rubies. I will be quick on it. During the 40s and 50s, the Army Air Corps operated out of the Wendover Air Base. Every now and then, during shit weather, a B-5, B-17 or B-29 would smack the rubies due to poor visibility. Some of the local ranchers got recruited to help the military go up to a crash site during the winter to recover the bodies. Rancher I was talking to told me that it took them about 3 days to get up to where this crash was on horseback and recover the bodies. He said when they got to the wreckage, all of the crew members were laid out, side by side, next to each other in a clearing in the wreckage. Many of them had severed limbs, and it was apparent all died on impact. Somehow, they ended up laid out next to each other. This was at nearly 10,000 feet elevation too.